Alright, well, what I worked on is a couple of my friends were looking at SCUF controllers and they wanted to see if I could find a quick solution or a little bit easier solution for them. What they were really looking for is more of a trigger, something to make their trigger adjustments. And if you haven't seen this SCUF controller, they actually have a screw that's drilled in here that actually prevents you from full trigger pull, and also there's another screw that's an adjustment that actually retracts it for pre-trigger. Instead of spending $100, also it's an easy way to you can fix the nose flow. You can do your own sanding and do your own configurations to it. I'm not a big fan of the D-pad, so I don't see a reason why I'm going to spend $100. So what I actually came up with is, as far as my controller looks, there's no actual changes to the top of the controller. Go back, like we see, we have a full trigger pull, full release, full trigger pull. Alright, so like I said, obviously mine looks nothing like theirs. I don't have any of the actual screws up there, don't have any screw adjustments. The only thing that I've actually added to this controller is 2 screws in the bottom of it. These 2 screws are the actual adjustment screws on how far the pre-pull is. So what these actually look like, you have your own pre-pull adjusters, and where they're set, they'll stay. These aren't loose. You can't loosen these with your finger. They're designed. They're put through the thickest part of the plastic, and they're used really fine, coarse threads, so they should stay and stuck continuously for a long period of time. Go ahead and reset it back to where it was. The other few changes, I actually put stoppers on the inside of the triggers that I'll show you. It's nothing more than a little rubber grommet that shuts off about 14 millimeters of travel, or 4 millimeters of travel. So what you actually have, that's the full trigger pull. I can't go past that point. Compared to the full trigger pull, which is on the old one. Like I said, the actual screws in the back adjust how far the pre-tension already is. Actually, I like where I put the screws also, because that's pretty much where I can hold the controller with my pinkies now. So these are just to hold the controller. So we're going to go ahead and open up the controller and show you the quick fix and simple solution for it. And this is a brand new controller, so I did have to do a little fix on the slow turn, but it was only in one direction. And going in and taking a look on the inside to see how the simplistic of it is to actually create the 2 aspects of having a pre-trigger pull and a pre-block and an actual trigger blocker. As far as the trigger pulls themselves, you can actually take a look at, I'm not sure how well this camera does or doesn't, little 1/8 of an inch drill bit, then actually ran wires back to my actual screws. Screws are two nuts with a lock washer nut. Not sure if it's what it's actually called. It's a lock washer spaded nut, I believe. It's on the inside. Tighten down so when it actually grabs, it does its own adjustment. Like I said, it's not tight enough, so I really can't spin it with my fingers. I really could if I wanted to try it. I could spin it with my fingers, but as far as just resting my pinkies against it, it's not going to change the tensions while I play. Did the same thing for both sides, but as far as the internals of this, let's just take the camera off. What we're actually looking at is inside this camera. Wow, this is blurry as snot, I think. Down on the actual side of the trigger, you'll see if I pull the trigger, that actual little trigger nub should actually reach all the way down to the board itself. What I actually did is I took a little rubber grommet and cut a 4 millimeter piece, pulled the controller forward, and actually placed it down under inside that actual camera. Let's see. Yeah, well, I foobarred that all up. But whatever, this camera does kind of suck, let's be honest. But the actual piece is wedged under the piece. It's a rubber grommet. You can actually see the black piece right there. It prevents the pull. You can buy them at Lowe's and Home Depot. It's nothing more than a little rubber cork that's, I think it's 10 millimeters by, I think, 6. Looks like a little rubber cork. Basically, you just cut the top of it off. It's about a 4 millimeter. I wouldn't go any higher than 5 because some of the games won't register past when it has a 5 millimeter break. 4 millimeters is kind of a good point for what I've seen. As far as the actual pre-pulls, you don't have to worry about the wires ever touching any type of circuitry. They all are above. You'll also notice that I don't actually have the rumble packs in my controller. I haven't played with rumble packs since Halo 1. So besides that, yeah, I'm kind of getting a cold. But besides that, it's pretty simple and easy. But if you do this with Halo, pre-warning, if you do with Halo, if there's any pre-pull on the actual trigger where to fire, it will shoot every time you respawn. Don't know why. It's literally if any more than about 2% trigger pull, it'll fire even if you're not at the point of firing. Don't ask me why, that's just what I've seen. Besides that, that's a simple and easy way to make a controller stop and a controller pre-pull.